Last week's video had a comment asking for an update on the Tesla that we purchased from Hertz Car Sales, the retired rental car. I put up a community post after I got that comment to see what other questions you guys had, and so this video is going to be to directly answer those questions and put in a couple of other thoughts. This is our rescue Tesla. We rescued this from Hertz Rental Car through the adoption agency known as Hertz Car Sales, and we have given it a forever home. And like most rescues, it took about a week before the car got used to being at home and recognized us and all of that stuff. The reason for that was it took 7 days for the transfer of ownership to happen through the computer system between Hertz and Tesla. And then we were able to set up our profiles and program home and all of that stuff and actually have the car believe it was ours. I did get that comment asking for an update on the car with some specific questions, and the community post had a few others. And this was started by, let me find the comment here. Tony Hernandez 87, can you please do a video update on your Hertz Tesla? Were there any other odd problems with it, getting a 2022 versus a 2018? Did the battery warranty transfer, etc.? So first question, yes, making the video now. Next question, were there any other odd problems with it? No. The car, especially after the ownership transfer happened digitally between Hertz and Tesla, and having to reprogram my profile since I was no longer a guest, I haven't had any other issues except for one time my phone as a key being disconnected, and luckily I was at home and had access to the key card and was able to get it and get the phone paired again. That was right around the time of the ownership transfer. Since then, no issues, and that was just a software glitch. Really good on keeping up with software updates, etc. And before anybody comments, yes, about a week ago, there was a notice that Tesla was offering a 30-day free trial of full self-drive. I have not gotten my email to start that yet. They're doing it in waves and batches, and my batch hasn't come up. When I do, I'll get a video showing you what that's like. Getting a 2022 versus a 2018, I would recommend a Tesla Model 3 that's 2021 or newer. There were a lot of changes that were put into the 2021s, such as the black trim on the door handle and around the windows. But the power trunk, which is one of my favorite features on this car. I know that a lot of other vehicles have power trunks and power lift gates, but I haven't had a vehicle like that before, and I really love that feature. We do grocery pickup. We order our groceries through an app, and I love when the person comes with our groceries that I can just tap the screen, the trunk opens up for them, and when they're done, I can close the trunk for them. First world problems, right? But I really like that feature. Also the double paned glass, really quirky issues. I do have a little bit of wind noise, and I'm going to work on getting that fixed, but the double paned glass in the front windows is better at preventing that. And I will have an update when I am able to completely eliminate the wind noise on this car, which should hopefully be coming in the next month or two. And then finally, did the battery warranty transfer? It's a manufacturer's warranty, and the car hasn't gotten to the end of that 100,000 mile warranty. I have no reason to believe that the warranty would not transfer. What I do know is that when I purchased the car, it was already past the 50,000 mile mark of the bumper-to-bumper warranty. And so that warranty shows in my Tesla app as expired, but the battery warranty shows in my Tesla app, which is connected to this car and the VIN on this car, that battery and electric drivetrain is still under warranty up into a specific date and 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. And I can already tell you we're going to get to the miles before we get to the date, because the date is somewhere in 2030, I think. We're going to get to 100,000 miles in less than 2 years from now. So before 2026 is over, we'll be at that mileage mark. Now, I didn't get very many questions from y'all, but I did get another question in the community post from Tony Hernandez 87. What was the wear and tear like? Did you find the front bumper paint in bad condition? Any other unexpected broken stuff? The wear and tear. The car had over 57,000 miles when we purchased it. It had what I would consider to be normal wear and tear. There's a small little rock chip in the windshield. There are some scuffs on the very underside of the front bumper that are very noticeable, but they're so far down and so close to the road, I don't really care. It just looks like a renter of the car parked too close to a curb when they were going into a parking spot and just scuffed the bumper, or they went through a dip that was too much of a dip for the car. It's there, and to me it's to be expected. Will it bother you? That's up to you. It might be something that's a deal breaker for you, but I can tell you that if you do find a Hertz car, a Tesla for sale at Hertz, that if it has stuff on it that is just a deal breaker, they'll find you another one. Or they'll say, okay, let's see what else we have. They are zero pressure, at least they were with me, which is great. Was the paint in bad condition other than that those scuffs? No. Other wear and tear, there is one little door ding on the driver's side door that's already there. Is it noticeable? Yes. Does it bug me? A little. But it makes me less stressed about people opening their doors into my car because I've already got a door ding. Like I said this in the introduction video, that yes, the wheels were curb rashed. I covered those up with wheel covers. Yes, there are paint swirls in it from machine washing at the rental agency. It just means I don't have to stress about running it through a machine wash and getting paint swirls. I already have them. Any unexpected broken stuff? Absolutely not. Everything on this vehicle works the way that it is supposed to work. We did purchase an extended service plan, but we haven't had the need for it yet, knock on wood. But the car's behaving like it's a new car with 60,000 miles on it. Next question came from Tony M. 4813. Ride quality, Tesla versus Bolt, charging experience comparison. Would you still road trip with a Bolt now that you have a Tesla? So first point, ride quality. The car does feel firm. You go over a bump in the road, you notice it. But by the same token, that trade-off is the suspension feels a little bit more performance oriented. This car to me feels very planted. I have taken some pretty quick corners. I have yet to hear any complaints from the tires on this car, not even the slightest little chirp, which is, to me, it's great. It's very confidence inspiring in the way it handles. I've driven other performance-oriented cars. I mean, not super, not exotics or anything like that. I'm talking an old 1993 Ford Probe GT. But you'll feel the bumps in that kind of car, but it rides fine. Drove the Bolt again a week ago as a comparison, and it really didn't feel like it rode that much softer. The Bolt is a little softer ride than the Model 3, definitely, but it didn't feel like it was that much of a difference. The car is comfortable enough for me. If it's going to be comfortable enough for you, the best advice that I can give you is go take a demo drive and make your own judgment, because I can't tell what's going to be acceptable for you. Ambulance going by. Now for a charging experience comparison, I've only supercharged this car on the day that I brought it home just to get a little bit of extra juice in it. I stopped for 5 minutes and I got a good amount of power out of that Tesla supercharger. In the rest of the time that I've owned it, I've only ever charged it at home off of our level 2. We will be road tripping this car, and when we do road trip, we'll do a full detailed analysis of our charging. We'll even do some comparisons with the Bolt. I do know from that one little stop that I made and a road trip I took in a similar older 2019 Model 3 standard range that they do onboard power faster than the Bolt. That's just a fact. So it will charge faster. The main thing that I can tell from my recent experience is the handshake time. The time where it takes the charger to connect to the car and actually start charging is considerably faster with a Tesla than it is with our Bolt or any other CCS car at an Electrify America or EVgo. It doesn't matter the charge system network. The CCS chargers have a much longer handshake time. Even the Tesla superchargers with the Magic Dock adapters take longer to initiate the charge than the Tesla does by itself, just as a Tesla at a Tesla supercharger. Will we road trip the Bolt? now that we have the Tesla? Maybe. Never say never. We will do a road trip in this car. We'll have our experience. We may find that the Bolt is more comfortable for the more leisurely road trip than this car. We might find the faster charging on the Model 3 is better for us on the road trip. We'll make that determination when it happens. What I will say is that this car doesn't have a hatchback, it has a trunk, and sometimes we may have to road trip the Bolt just because of the need for cargo. That's with the cars that we have. Are there other EVs out there that could have that same need of cargo? Yes. The Bolt doesn't have a huge amount of cargo space. In fact, I actually think the trunk on this car, as being as big as it is, plus the frunk, might actually be able to carry more stuff in this car. I won't know until I try. Because the Bolt behind the rear seat, it doesn't have much of a trunk, but it does have that height that this car doesn't have, which I really, when I've loaded up the Bolt for road trips with our DJ sound system, that is why we need to have a car for these long road trips instead of flying. I haven't stacked it up to the point where it blocked the rear window, so that extra height wouldn't even really be necessary. Ariel Batista asks for a real-world range test, not just what the car says. Also, how's the build quality? Thanks. Okay, so let me address the build quality first. Yes, I have a little bit of wind noise, and I have had experience with the older 2019 Model 3 that I took a trip in, where I was like, wow, this thing's falling apart. This car, I don't have those issues, with the possible exception of the wood veneer on the dash. Might be starting to peel up a little bit, but I'm probably going to replace that anyway with something aftermarket. Real world range test. I'm going to need some time in my personal and work schedule to be able to do that for you. I do want to do that. I will get that video out there so that I can do a full 100% to as close to zero as I'm willing to go, and how many miles that is, and whether I'll do that on mixed driving or highway only. You guys tell me. There are plenty of real-world range tests on a Model 3, but this is specific to one that's been purchased from Hertz that had almost 60,000 miles of rental miles put on it. What I can tell you is that what the car tells me on the Guessometer, the projected miles, when I take it to 100%, is 258 miles. My commute one way to work in mixed driving, county roads, farm roads, city streets, and interstate is 27 miles. And when I get to work, I have used 27 miles of that range. It'll show me at 231 miles projected once I get to work. Now, when I leave for work, it doesn't show me that much. I have to drive a couple of miles during my workday, literally like 4. But I also have cabin overheat protection on, so when the car doesn't let the cabin get above 100 degrees, the air conditioning kicks on, that's going to use power. I also work in a high traffic parking lot, so I leave Sentry mode on. Both of those things result in some phantom drain while the car is idling, and so that does use some of my miles. I usually am down to around 220 or something when it's time to go home, and I get home around 190 miles remaining range. But just range alone, if I could improve the phantom drain by turning Sentry mode off and turning cabin overheat protection off. But just the straight up drive, it has shown me to be perfectly accurate to what the car says. And again, I will do a real world full range test, 100 to as close as I dare to go to empty and still be able to make it back to a charger. And I'll have that video coming up as soon as I have some time in my personal and work schedule. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I have to have a day job. So I will get that video out, I promise. Last question that I got from you comes from Nice Guy NY1. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's Nice Guy New York 1, who asks your experience with Autopilot, both good and bad. Well, when and if I get my trial of the full self-drive supervised, once I'm able to do that, I'll do some videos, let you guys see what that's like. This car has the basic Autopilot only, and when that free trial ends, it will go back to having the basic Autopilot only. There are some features of enhanced Autopilot, like the automatic lane change and navigating on Autopilot, that I'd like to have, but So this is just going to be my experience with basic Autopilot. I don't have $6,000 to go for enhanced or $12,000 for FSD, and I really don't want to pay $200 a month for FSD. It just seems an awful steep price for software. For me, you can disagree, you're welcome to disagree, but I likely won't be taking it, but I'd love to try it out for free. So basic Autopilot, I have been using it. The traffic aware cruise control I probably use more often because I can use that on the county roads that are unpainted, that the auto steer function won't operate on. The car decelerates for corners on those county roads just fine. I don't go into those corners a little too fast, and when I'm on the freeway I will engage the auto steer function and let the car handle some of the driving. I have done the trick with the wheels, like the volume wheel or the speed wheel on the steering wheel to let the car think that I'm putting pressure on it. That works, but I usually just keep my hand on the steering wheel and have my feet ready to brake. The basic Autopilot doesn't recognize red lights, so if I have a red light and there's no car in front of me, I do have to disengage it to hit the brakes and slow down, but that's no big deal. You'd have to do that if you were driving a car with regular cruise control anyway. The car doesn't recognize stop signs with the basic Autopilot, so when that comes I need to disengage unless there's a car already stopped there. If there's a car stopped there, the car will slow down to a dead stop, and when that light turns green and the car ahead starts going, the car will take off on its own. I have the follow distance set to like 6 or 7 car lengths, so it takes a while from the light, and so I don't accelerate from the light as quickly as cars behind me would like, so I give it a little bit more juice to supplement that when it goes. The biggest, and sometimes on the farm roads that are a little curvy, I haven't gotten enough faith yet in the auto steer to let it do that. I'll handle the driving on that. The car is so much of a pleasure for me to drive that I actually like doing the driving myself more than letting the car do it. The car isn't quite as smooth. It tries to center the lane, so when the lane curves, it like has a late turn in, or at least it feels that way to me. So curvy roads, I might keep the traffic aware cruise control on, or I might just do 100% driving manually. On the freeway, the biggest thing that I've noticed, at least with the basic Autopilot, is it centers the car based on where the lane markers are. So when there's an on-ramp or an off-ramp, and that right side lane marker, if you're in the travel lane or the right-hand lane, that spreads out to accommodate that on-ramp or that off-ramp, the car tries to recenter into that and then jerks back when that line goes away. And that's not as smooth as I would like it to be. I've only encountered 2 instances of what I would call phantom braking, and I'm probably wrong in calling it that, where the car just slows down and applies braking for no reason. There's no flashing light, there's not a car in front of me, and it's only happened a couple of times, but when that happens, I just get back on the accelerator or really quickly disengage Autopilot and I have full control of the car back. I've seen plenty of videos where the car does that because it does sense a threat, but there weren't threats at those instances. What else? I do like it, and I plan on using the basic Autopilot for our big long road trip because it can be kind of relaxing, and to take control over the car, just turn the wheel a little bit more, and then you're just back on cruise control and you're driving again. I love the traffic aware cruise control though. I've mentioned in previous videos about my calf getting tired when I'm in stop and go traffic in the city and things like that, and this eliminates that completely. Absolutely love that feature. I'm probably leaving something out from my experience with Autopilot, good and bad, but that's what I have so far. If and when I get that FSD trial to start, I'll throw some more into it and give you more information as I go. As I said, I've only had this car for about 7 weeks, so I'll give you more information as we go. Angry dogs. And so were all of the questions that I got from you. So I'm going to wrap the video up here, just throw in some final thoughts because I'm trying to keep this short. I I really, really enjoy this thing. I look forward to driving it every day when I get up to go to work. Yeah, getting up to go to work is like, I gotta go to work. But at least I get to drive my car. I don't mind taking extra errands. I like spending time in this. It just feels nice to just open the car door, sit down, and it just puts the climate control on for you. The dog mode is a game changer because Rachel and I can now both go on errands with Fiona, who loves to go for car rides. The center console is the perfect size for her to sit on, and she loves being in there. We just turn on dog mode while we go into a store for like 2 minutes, and we're okay. And I don't have to feel guilty because she's in a climate controlled car that has the sign on it, and she enjoys herself in there. That's a big deal. We'll have some more videos coming up. I'm going to be changing out the cabin air filter on this vehicle, and yes, there are already videos out there, but I'm just going to show you what my experience with it is. When that time comes, I'm looking at that range test or an experimental road trip to test just to get ourselves used to the charging system. I already know that it's going to be easy. We have put, since we brought this car home, I reset trip A when I got it to the driveway. From that moment, 1,750 miles in these 7 weeks. Our average efficiency is 218 watt hours per mile, which 1 divided by 0.218 is the equivalent of 4.587 miles per kilowatt hour, which is 58/100ths of a mile per kilowatt hour more efficient than the lifetime average of our Chevy Bolt. Here's where I made a mistake. When I brought the car home, I reset trip B, not trip A. So it's really 2,724 miles that we've driven in these 7 weeks with an average efficiency of 220 watt hours per mile. And that calculates to 4.54 miles per kilowatt hour. So 54/100ths of a mile more efficient than the Bolt. There's the correction. So really enjoying the improved efficiency as well. I get a lot of comments on the car, and I really enjoy it. I'm happy with the decision. Is it a decision that would work for you? That's a decision you need to make for yourself, but we'll have some more content coming. So hit the subscribe button, and if you found this video informative or mildly entertaining, give us a like. If you have some more questions you'd like answered, put them in the comments and we'll include them in a future video. Thank you very much for watching.